That's cool. Oh, that had to hurt. What is this thing? A tennis ball. I'm doing pretty good. Ah, this is cool. Hey guys, it's Jim Bounds at Motorhome Rehab Ranch, and in rummaging around through all my stuff, I found this video, this DVD, 100 Spectacular Sound Events. Cool. That'll be fun. Listen, trying to get ready for the Wisconsin road trip. I want to finish a couple of the videos that I had going. The one today I want to talk about is installing the starter and to finish up the grounds. All right, so come on with me into the studio here, and let's talk about starters. All right. Last video I did a little short video about going to Nelson's, my starter alternator guy, dropping the starter off, and sure enough, the starter was bad. So you might think, well, it was dragging the first time. Why don't you just go place the starter? Well, it's true. But on a 50-year-old machine, I figured the starter was bad. But on a 50-year-old machine, you need to do everything in that circuit. If you're going to touch one part of it, it's not like we're going to find the problem and just fix that. We want to look at everything in the circuit, which has to do with all the grounds, hot wires, and all that kind of stuff. And from that point, now we're going to start. Starter was bad. Is there an upgrade? Well, you can spend a bunch of money and get a reduction gear starter. But honestly, that's going to put you on the road with a custom part. And if that absolutely breaks and you got nothing going on, you're going to go get another starter. And these starters work pretty well. That thing got me all the way across Utah. I was probably 10, 15, maybe 20 years old. And it told me that it was tired. Okay? So, but you got to listen. So the first time that thing starts to drag a little bit, go take it in. Okay? All right, well, here we are. We've got the starter back from Nelson. It's beautiful, looks new. It's gonna, when you look at it up in place, it looks like the newest thing in there. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we want to wire this thing. Two options that we have are two jobs to put the starter back in. One, physically get it up in there and get the two bolts in it. But two, get it hooked up properly, connected properly. All right, as you see here, come on in. You can see here, I've got a new 2-gauge hot wire going to the starter with a new connector. I insulate my connectors with Scotch 33 Plus tape. A lot of folks would use split loom, shrink wrap, or all kinds of things. That's fine, whatever you want to do. Down here also is a trigger wire. It's yellow. Okay? It's the smaller of the 3 wires. The third wire, which may not be in later models, but is in mine, is a ground wire for the starter solenoid. I thought that was kind of neat. All right, so I cleaned them all up, put new connector ends on them, and we're ready to go. We're ready to put the thing in. So here's the starter. You notice there are 2 small terminals here and 1 big one. Well, it's obvious the 2-gauge goes here, but where do those other 2, the trigger wire and the ground wire, go? If you get them backwards, nothing will happen except you'll be shooting sparks for the time you have it in start, so you really don't want that to happen. Now, if you look down at the back of it, now pay attention to this, it has an S and an R right there. S and R. Now, you'd think that the one I'm pointing to there would be the start, and the R would be, I don't know, ground or whatever. Well, you'd be wrong. If you put it up, now right here, it's up in, bolted in, and you can see how the wires come down. Here's the trigger wire right here. Here's the ground wire. And I put it on the outside terminal. That's the wrong one. It says R. Okay? R is actually the trigger wire. So this black wire needs to go over here. And when it gets up in there, then you can put the trigger wire on that where it goes. Now you say, well, how do you hold it up? That's good. How do you hold it up in there and get it all connected at the same time? Well, I use this nifty little wooden block that I've had forever. That's probably my first part, big wooden block. Set the starter on it. The cables are long enough to get down. See here, sitting on the block. 2 of the 3 cables are long enough to get down to it. This ground actually is going to end up over here. Got it connected, and you get it up in there. Now, here's the thing to be, I think you've picked up already that I told you I hooked it up wrong. That's correct. Here's your trigger wire. It's not long enough to get to the solenoid until it's in, but it is the outer thread. The inner one is the ground. Does that make sense? So when you get it up in there and you have the ground connected to the outer bolt, when you look up, it's backwards. And as you see, that orange wire is just long enough that when it's up in there, that connects. All right? So you get it up in there, you get it hooked up correctly. You have taken out your oil filter. Fine. And there's about a quart of oil drains out. So you want to get a new oil filter. 51258 is the proper Wix number. Take some of the oil in your finger and wipe it around the seal. You want to get that seal a little bit wet with oil. Okay? Now, you're going to put a quart of oil, about a quart. When you drop a filter, you're going to drop about a quart of oil. So go get a quart. I'm using Valvoline VR1. This is straight 30 weight because it's going to be in the summer, in the winter. But 2050 Valvoline VR1 is a lot easier to find. If you can't find any of those, the Valvoline High Mileage is a good one. Anyway, so you get all set. You get it up in there. You get the filter up in there. Starter now is bolted in. Your 2 bolts here. The wires on the starter are behind the filter. That's why you have to pull the filter out. Make sense? All right. So, all right. Going back, let's talk a few minutes about this. There've been a lot of people right there. That's good. A lot of people have talked about hard to get the starter out. Got to turn the wheel. Well, if you jack it straight up, as you saw, the starter drops straight out. And you better have something under it. Because when it drops down, if your wires are connected, it could pull the wires. And for gosh sakes, go take the batteries. Disconnect the batteries, okay? Have something under it. When it drops down, then, well, actually, you're going to disconnect the trigger wire, which will be on the very bottom. That new starter that Nelson made used a 9mm nut. It's probably going to be a 3/8 nut on the starter. You take that one off, the yellow wire off. Then you take the 2 bolts out, let it drop down, then take the 2 gauge off and the ground. If yours does not have the ground, they may have taken that out in the later harnesses. Okay. If you noticed with the starter out, let me find it. One more. Oh, wait a minute. I know. Well, with the starter out, you had a plate. Come on in here a second. You can see this metal plate right here. It's held on with a bolt here and a bolt here. That's an inspection plate. I had a customer ask me, Ranchan asked me, how does he get to the flywheel? Because he needed to turn the motor, turn the motor around to get some bolts up on the harmonic balancer. Take that plate off and you can get up in there and do everything. There's a lot of coaches that don't even have that plate in there. Bubba figured, you don't need that to make it work. Well, it's true. You don't, but it keeps a lot of the dust and dirt and junk out of there. So if you're building your motor, I would definitely put it in. Now, at the same time you have all this stuff out, you have access to several bolts on the oil pan. Okay, you want to tighten these. You want to snug these bolts down, because I'll guarantee you that nobody's ever done it. And they're 50 years old in there, and there's a fair amount of oil in the bottom. And this oil pan gasket, the only way to get it out is to basically take the motor out. So you have access to here. I would tighten these bolts up. Also, if you're, this is not this project, but if you're ever taking the differential down, there's some bolts up there that are available. So, but with it out, look around in the compartment. I have fuel injection. This is where my O2 sensor was set up. All right. When you get it back up in there, turn your power back on. Go up and bump the starter one time. If it tries to start, that means that those two wires are in the right place. If you bump it and absolutely nothing happens, you want to go check that again, because it's not starting. If you find that the colored wire is to the back, when you look up, you got her backwards. Okay. I hope this helps you. If you've never taken your starter out, if you've never done it, and you do have a starter rebuilder near you, you got to remember, a lot of these parts, this is a mission critical part. And if this part goes bad, it will go bad usually at the worst possible time. It can leave you out. On a 50-year-old vehicle, mission critical components need to be checked and known quality. Okay. What did I do? I took off to Utah. I didn't check the starter. It was fine. Everything's fine. Famous words. People call up, Jim, everything was fine, but then blah, 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 blah. Yeah, everything is fine until something breaks. Try not to have it break. All right. Well, look, guys, thank you for your time. Thanks for, I hope this is helpful. If it is, please hit like and all those things. Ranch Hands, thank you for your support. Through your support, I'm able to get lighting and do different things. And we're getting ready to head on a road trip to Wisconsin. I hope you come with me. This is part of the whole thing. Not just, well, how do I put that starter in? Look, there's some guys that gave me comments and said, I need to get more to the point. Well, I dig that. But also, this is a community. These are motorhomes that have been here 50 years. 50 years. It's unbelievable that they're still being used and that people really do like them. They've made the test of time. Okay? And you folks that are interested in these motorhomes are also very special. All right? If you have questions about your beast, let me know. Give me a call. Get involved in Motorhome Rehab Ranch, because this is where you can go to find out information. That's what this is all about. Well, look, thanks for your support. And we're going to get on the road to Wisconsin. If you've seen this and it's 5 or 6 years old, go check out the series of traveling to Wisconsin. It's going to be a good one. Talk to you later.